It's on the MCAT. And so we will be able to take a dive into that a little bit closer. We have a team that works, the ILT, the instructional leadership team that works on making help, helping the curriculum choices along and also looking at data like this. So we'll be doing that soon.
Okay. Any other discussion? Yes, Anna.
So similar to what Leah was saying is in the improvement plan there's a lot of like things that you might use to as evidence of completion, but there's no specific measure of it in a way. So what I mean like here if I can where's the um for goal one with the strengthen school-wide SEL and expectations, evidence of completion, screening results. But you don't say what the screening results should be, just that you will use, it seems like you're saying we will use screening results as evidence of completion, but you're not really saying, are you looking for 50%? Are you like what exactly about those screening results?
Sure. That's to identify the percentage of students that we have in each category. So our at-risk students, our grade level trends, like what is happening. Does it seem to be one particular grade level that is having any issues? We have such a very small incidence of any students presenting as at risk that but it is something that we go ahead and use that data. Parents are aware of what their students have rated themselves as, and if there's further intervention that's needed, then that's what we do.
So then the evidence of completion would be knowing the screening, knowing the percentage at risk in each grade.
Yes,
So
and
just
like
by
planning for it.
so I think that the way it is written in evidence of completion, it would be helpful if it were more concrete. Like
Okay,
not just say screening results, but
sure.
like say um the the data for from the screening results is complete and known, and there is a plan for how to address it or something like that, as
Hmm.
opposed to just screening results, percent of students,
Got
grade
it.
level trends, right?
Yep.
And then lesson plans. What are lesson plans are
Our
as evidence of completion? Is it like lesson plans are complete? Lesson plans are, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, that's the
Okay.
specific lesson plans that go with the SEL that's based on the data that we've learned from the students from that screening. So if we've
So
learned a lot of students are having negative self-talk, then that's going to be something we're addressing in our like our social emotional block with the choose love.
So instead of just saying lesson plans, it could be completed lesson plans based on screening results.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
then walkthroughs. How many walkthroughs? Walkthroughs completed, walkthroughs planned, walkthroughs
Hmm.
what?
Sure.
Assembly agendas. Uh, assembly assembly X number of assembly agendas completed based on screening results.
Hmm.
So Anna, you'd like to see the goal, you'd like to see the results be smarter, to have an actual
A
like
little smarter, a little smarter.
what's the
Yep.
measure, what's the measure that we're using? Um, so yeah, okay. So the evidence, you want the evidence to be more specific about what does that look like? Lesson plans used to, like, if I go back to the beginning column, it would be like lesson plans to teach, lesson plans completed, showing evidence of teaching expectations and routines across multiple classrooms or something like
So
that.
something like that. I'm not saying I don't want to specify any of these things. I'm just saying like the way they are listed in the evidence of completion or in that column doesn't actually tell you
I
what would
think
qualify as completed.
I could be also wrong on this. I'm just like, I'm in the middle of a NEASC review, and so I'm
Yeah.
having to like pay attention to all these things, and I'm on professional practice, which means I'm going through my school's school improvement plan. And I kind of see these as more like these are the guidelines, that then, the administrative team then creates their goals out of. So I think that sometimes that might be like, this might be, and I'd like to hear what Shannon and Anne have to say about this, but this might be more of a, like, this is like the general guidelines that we're trying to implement to make our school better. And then the administration and other teams kind of pull their goals out of this in order to
And
actually make it happen.
So if that's true, then I would say maybe just relabel some of the columns so that you're not looking for outcomes in those columns or evidence that suggests that this task or action was completed. And like we have a school improvement plan. How do we know if we have achieved or if we have I don't know, followed the school improvement plan? But I think that if there's a thing that says complete evidence of completion, then you should actually be able to use that evidence to determine whether that was completed and not just sort of know which pot it comes from. Does that make sense? Like what data
It
this one
does.
says which data are you going to use kind of, but it doesn't say what the data should say to 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 qualify, I guess. Like 50%. Is 50% what you're looking for? Is 100% what you're looking for? At least 75%? Or we're just going to know because we want to just see how it's distributed. Like, so it's just, it's hard to know how to use this, in other words.
So the feedback that I'm hearing is that to Jeremy's point, this is an outline of where the efforts of our professional development, our educator goals, our administrator and leadership goals are sort of aligned around these pockets that Anne and the ILT have looked at various data points, which she's listed, to determine where should we target our efforts. Um, I think that there's merit in your feedback that you'd like to see some metrics added to that. And because this plan will probably much of it will continue into next year, I think we could add those metrics and bring it back for you to review and some feedback. I will tell you that those more specific goals you would find at um, the instructional level, as Jeremy sort of alluded to, on their individual goals that, we're looking for, 10% of students to move from proficiency to exemplary, or, it's more,
Yeah.
you would find it at those individual levels, but we can certainly, compile that and make a wider generalization for the school if you're looking for that kind of metric. I think that'd be easy enough to do.
I think what I'm hearing is that she's get Anne's getting a little dinged because she gave too much information.
That's fine. It's not a problem. Like, honestly, like it's good to know, because when you do these, there's about, how many examples do you think there are of school improvement plans online, Shannon? Maybe 7,000?
Yeah,
Million.
and I don't think
And-
it's being every school district wants something, a different look,
Exactly.
Yeah.
different information around general topics, right? Like I could go to just about every district in the Commonwealth and they have, academic goals, and they certainly, given the needs of our students, have some social emotional learning goals, and they might have others. So every district sort of has, this is what we would like to see. The state gives a lot of autonomy unless you are an underperforming school on what they want to see. If you're an underperforming school, they are very specific about what they want to see. But Shutesbury, luckily, is not in that realm, where we're a pretty high performing school. So we have a little bit more autonomy at the state level, which is sort of trickled down to more autonomy at the school level. But I think that if you would like to see more specifics around feedback around how would we know as a measure point, I don't, that's not really difficult to add. And so if you want to hold off on the vote, because like I said, with some tweaks, this will probably be much of our guiding document into next year also, with maybe some small changes. We can do that, and you can take a look at it and do a formal vote in February if that feels better, we can certainly add some points of measurement, because we have them. They're just not in this document. So
Well,
if that's what the committee would like to do, we can certainly do that.
I
Is
want to
there a
get to,
way to
oh, sorry, Anna, go ahead.
provisionally approve the goals, contingent upon receiving some additional metrics? Because I think that the plan is good. Like I think that the how it's structured, like what the school intends to do is good. I think the only thing that is really um, has a potential for some additional edits would be the metrics, and if it's not, if it's not great to not have a school improvement plan approved, then I would kind of like to try to approve as much as we can. And is that crazy?
No, it's not. I mean, like I said, we're a high performing school. Nobody is coming saying where's your improvement plan. So we do have, if you would like that, you certainly as a committee have the autonomy to say we're going to approve these goals, because that's really what you're approving. Are these um, goals that you can support as a school committee, um, with metrics to be shared, as an update in the next committee. The conversations with metrics are happening, but we didn't put them in this document. They're happening with Anne and her staff around what are those tools of measurement going to be to determine success. And then they're happening with, myself and the leadership team around how are we measuring if this is successful. And for example, walkthrough tools. We just had a walkthrough this week, which is a part of my superintendent's report. And we look at trends, right? We look at trends. Well, this is, an area that was improved, needed for improvement last time. How much have we, and we do have a rating system for that. So we do have the metrics. We just didn't put that detail into this, but we can.
And I think what I'm hearing, Anna, too, is just like you would be happy to even just see it say, completed lesson plans showing that. Like it doesn't all have to be percentages and numbers. It's just like, what does this look like as a piece of evidence showing that it's been met?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Katrina.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just wanted to jump in and say that as like a principles document, this is totally fine with me, and it makes sense reading the evidence column to me, especially given this conversation, where what this means semantically. So I think as an overarching document that then waterfalls down into individual level lesson like strategic planning, this makes a lot of sense. And it sounds like it could be resolved with just, both of those things that Shannon had mentioned. One, and what I guess Jeremy you mentioned is if we can just maybe do some semantic changing where it's like completed lesson plans based on, which is, it's clear to me that that's what you mean by this. But maybe just so it's like super clear. And then I just want to say I'm fine with where there are metrics that make sense to add to this. I think it's, yes, it makes sense to have SMART goals. So if I would be fine with not necessarily having it for this iteration, but like collecting those metrics so that we can add them next time. And when there aren't metrics that really make sense, because like you said, Shannon, we're really just looking for 100% of everyone feeling comfortable here, then I think I'm fine with not forcing metrics where they don't need to be, basically. But that's just my feelings.
Right, because some of the items are not a percentage. Like you're not going to
Yeah.
say that I'm going to 100% complete the pacing guide. It's either done or it's not. Like it's either a thing or it's not a thing. So
Yes, I don't
I'll
think that would make
definitely
it,
go
I don't
through
think
it.
it would make it smarter.
I'll go through it again and make it smarter. So thank you for the feedback.
Sorry, it's the state language. It's all it is. Like these are like 7/8 of the way to SMART goals, right? Like, but like I said too, like I do feel like this is more of a like goal setting document than it is like,
Yes.
everybody else pulls their evaluation goals, which have to be measurable, out of these kind of school-wide goals, or at least we're supposed to. We as instructors are supposed to know our school improvement plan, which I can honestly say many of us don't really know the ins and outs of it, but we're supposed to be considering that when we're creating our SMART goals for evaluation, and the same with the district leadership teams. So okay, so we're here. We've got some suggestions about either maybe adding matrices going forward, if we like for next year's vote to when we re-up the school improvement plan. We've also had Shannon said that we could maybe just add that stuff in and come back and vote on it in February. So I guess as part of this discussion, can we just get a sense of where we're at? Because we could just move, well, we could just vote on it, or we could move to do whatever it is we want to do. So I'm curious about what the committee feels like doing here.
To me, I think actually a lot of these in the evidence of completion column are pretty as are fine as smart, like before in school-based PD around writing rope framework, it's like before and after samples of writing. I feel like all you to satisfy this critique, all you would need to add is like evaluated, but it's clear that you're assessing before and after samples of writing to look at metrics of success there. So I think a lot of them are there. So I don't feel like there's drastic revisions necessary from my perspective, but I'll let others weigh in.
I'd like to see more like specific metrics where it makes sense added into the plan, given,
So then,
given that I think we want to like maintain how like well performing the school is, and so like if we can like have a sense of what that means, right now, so that we can have a sense of what it looks like as we're maintaining the performance, I think that'd be really great.
so it sounds to me like what we'd like to do is to kick this to next month with some added language to it and vote on it then. So I think, I'm not sure procedurally, but I have a feeling we have a movement and a second. So I guess we would need to vote that down. Is that correct?
No, I think I can move to postpone the vote until our next meeting.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor? My UI?
Longo by.
Heard aye.
Jack guy.
So that is unanimous, and we'll bring that back to our February meeting to discuss it further.
And always
you,
feel
guys.
free to email me, because then I mean, if I had this feedback before, I would have definitely taken it. So if you ever have any concerns or questions or anything before, just let me know. Happy to change it. But all right.
Thank you for being willing to massage it a little bit.
Sorry for the late feedback.
So the new business and discussions that we're moving on to would be, we need an additional warrant signer because we did not assign one, or we did not vote on one when we did our reorganization meeting, and Leah is going to miss one of the warrant signings. So I had thrown my name out there into the ring. I'm fine with doing it. But if anybody would like to nominate anyone else or volunteer themselves, now's the time to do it. Okay, so I guess if somebody could move and then second it, and we can vote on it, and that will be off of the table.
I move to
just make there we go.
To appoint Jeremy as the backup warrant signer.
I second that.
All right, all in favor? My UI.
Longo by.
Heard aye.
Right.
Jack guy.
I guess I'm it. All right, thank you guys. I will sign that one on, I believe it's the 20th, but whatever, it'll come into my inbox and I will sign it and we'll be good. All right, so we are moving on to the reports section of the night. I'd like to start with the superintendent's report. I have to take a quick minute out of here and I'll be right back. So Shannon, it is yours.
I can go. Okay. All righty.
Yeah. All right.
Some Shutesbury updates and trying not to spend too much time on things that I think will come in other reports. We had some members of the school committee, Anne and myself met with the Shutesbury Finance Committee on 113 to discuss the budgetary needs of Shutesbury Elementary. From my perspective, I thought it was a very productive meeting. We were able to have some great dialogue and offer some clarity around our budgetary needs, and use that guidance in getting ready to present a budget. Anne and I took part in an instructional walkthrough with the Director of Curriculum, Lindsay Rodriguez, and the academic coaches from the consultants from TNTP. TNTP are the consultants that are associated with the PRISM grant for the unions, 28 schools that applied as a consortium. The walkthrough focused on building-wide trends around literacy practices. SES staff took part in professional development and coaching offered through the TNTP consultants, and district leaders were also able to engage in some professional development around supporting literacy initiatives and providing meaningful feedback to staff. So that is one thing. Although Shutesbury uses a different curriculum, so was not able to be part of the consortium, they have been very flexible, as has DESE, with allowing, because of our unique structure of having a union, and as opposed to a regional, in allowing us to use some of those resources to include Shutesbury Elementary in some of the PD, and also in our literacy consortium group after school. So that's been very helpful. The Union 28 CPAC group met yesterday at Leverett Elementary School to discuss progress reports and IEP goal setting. The CPAC agendas continue to rotate their meetings around the Union 28 schools and present on topics of interest for special education support, but also may be of interest to a wider range of caregivers. The group is open for all Union 28 families. They've had a topic recently in Irving around executive functioning, which is how children organize their thoughts, and that was well attended. And they'll be looking for topics that may be of interest to all families. The Joint Supervisory Council met on January 12th and passed the Union 28 budget for fiscal year 26-27. Caitlin Anderson May presented a 411 regarding how school budgets work, with a specific emphasis on the intricacies of a union type of budget. We have across our Union 28 schools a lot of relatively new to school committee members, and so she presented a great report on how exactly school finance works. And we got a lot of positive feedback, so I want to give her a shout out around that. And some legislative updates. I submitted testimony, which I've linked here, to the Department of Early Education and Care for their continued support of the Coordinated Family and Community Engagement Grant Program, and shared the impact that it has on families within our union and on small rural communities. I linked a copy of the testimony. That does a lot of things, like we have parent groups. It supports early childhood practices and engagement across our districts. A lot of collaboration with our local libraries. So we're hoping that grant remains fully funded at the state level. Gillian Bodine, our community network coordinator, will actually be attending a legislative breakfast tomorrow, and I believe it's at Shutesbury Library, to continue to advocate for support for our early childhood programming and family supports, especially in rural areas. And so we're happy to have her representing the Union 28 area. She's a great advocate, and certainly as someone who has grown up and been a parent in rural schools, and also was a student of rural schools, she brings a really great perspective of exactly how that outreach really impacts our communities. And getting in touch with families prior to students coming to school really does benefit our schools. And so we're very happy to have her advocating at the legislative level for us. And that is the conclusion of my report. Happy for answer any questions if you may have them.
All right, thank you, Shannon. Next would be Caitlin, the Director of Finance and Operations.
Sure. So I've linked in my director's report the current year budget, a spreadsheet that has all of the manual encumbrances. If you'd like me to show it right now, I can, although I don't think I have sharing capabilities.
I can fix that.
Okay.
I think somewhere right here. That.
Yep, that did it. All right, so here's our current year's budget. All the cells you see in pink are salaries, some we have to manually encumber. And substitute salaries, and then we're going to have those. So those I manually encumber. But things like office supplies, those aren't because I don't know how much the office is going to. So this is if the school were to spend no more money for the year and what we'd have left. Some of the ones we know are going to go over are the special ed transportation and the tuition. However, we think that between IDEA, circuit breaker, the line we have in the operating budget, that will cover the tuition. The transportation is a little more difficult. And then manually encumbering all of the Union 28 salaries leaves us with this 155,000 for all of the utilities and supplies and things that we are not expecting for the rest of the year. It's a better outlook than I had a month ago because when we looked at the placement, the costs, it was going to be more, but we're feeling more positive about it now. The next thing I want to show you is the budget. Sorry, Zoom's a little different than Google. I'm going to stop sharing the screen and then go to the budget for next year, the 2027. So we met with the Shutesbury Finance Committee on Tuesday, and this is the budget we presented, which is up for you tonight if you want to do a preliminary adoption of the budget. It is a 6.32% increase, more than typical. However, we've had some increases in our special education costs, and we are looking to decrease the reliance on school choice money because we're coming in at about $112,000 for school choice. The cherry sheets for next year don't come out until later this month. Sometimes I think the 22nd. And so we're looking to decrease that dependence. Rural aid did go down. Keeping early childhood revolving the same, and grants and circuit breaker less than we had before, or more than we had before, but keeping track of those, we're at a 5.44% increase on total spending. However, our grants and other revenues have gone down. That'd be a 6.32% increase for towns. Is our budget presentation. There's been no changes since last month. If there are any questions about any of these, let me know. And then for our funding, uses for grants and school choice. So for title grants, a decrease because we are not seeing the Title IV and Title II grants coming through for next year. We've added, I think, $1,500 into the operating budget for those. IDEA grants, we've increased a little bit. For the REAP, we've increased to match what we're receiving. Circuit breaker is an increase. Rural aid is a decrease. Early childhood revolving, about the same. And school choice, we'd like to decrease our dependence. And then here's a fun little look at the 5-year rolling average. So the Joint Supervisory Committee back in 2022 voted for a 5-year rolling average moving forward, so not to look at previous years, but to start at the year that we were in. And then it's now grown to a full 5-year rolling average, which next year will finally drop off the fifth year and be a full 5-year rolling average. Shutesbury has had more of an enrollment in the last couple years, which is great. So Shutesbury went from 111 students in FY25 or the FY23 October 1st count to 127 to 120. So they have had more of the increase in the Union 28 budget based on their enrollment. So do you have questions about the budget, or do you want to stop sharing my screen?
Can
Nate?
you talk about the percentage of increase in the budget when you don't add in the out of district placement? And
Sure. That number's been like, it's in my brain. It's 2.39%. So if we did not have the additional costs, not all the costs because we had already budgeted for some, but if we didn't have the additional costs, it's a 2.39% increase to the budget. Anne and Shannon and I have worked hard to decrease where we can decrease without impacting any salaries. And it's, we know the towns are in a hardship right now, all of them, not just Shutesbury, but Leverett and Wendell and New Salem and Irving. They're all having challenges with health insurance and with, for some towns failed 20 and 20, the overrides. And so I think that this has been as much of an effort we can make without cutting any current positions to get us to this place.
I just want to say that's commendable. I really appreciate all your hard work on all this. So thank you, and thank you to Shannon. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anna?
So, I wanted to give a quick update on the regional budget because the both good and bad news is that all of our 4 towns are also in a very tight budget situation. And because of Shutesbury's lower population growth than the other towns, our proportion of the allocated funds is going down. And so there seems to be no scenario where Shutesbury's allocated amount will increase by more than 2.5%. And it is unfortunately very likely that it will increase by less than 1%. And that would be devastating for the region. But with a 3.5% increase for Amherst and then with Leverett saying we can't go more than, we would like to limit it to 2.5%. The chance that the budget would go up so much that Shutesbury would be asked to pay an increase of 4.5% is almost zero. So it is possible that a slightly lower increase for the region could benefit the ability to pay the elementary school their full 6.5% increase. So that's the kind of good news.
Thank you for that. So, do a discussion, we can do a possible vote on this. What do people feel like? Oh, Katrina, Katrina, I didn't see your hand. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It blends in with my wall. Yeah, no, I just wanted to say my read from the meeting with the finance committee on Tuesday was that was it seems like this feels reasonable on all fronts and that this is doable for the town meeting. And I guess Susie, correct me if I'm wrong, but if that's the right read, I feel comfortable moving to adopt this preliminary budget.
We're
So,
we're still early in the game, but I think you read that right. The finance committee truly appreciated the effort to bring in 2.4 when in fact we'll be dealing with something bigger. But people certainly on the finance committee understand that's the responsibility of a school. And that's also why we're pushing really hard for rural aid to be increased. And it'd be good if the circuit breaker wasn't such a screwy process, but I think the only one we can really hope for and work at is to get rural aid. They could restore 4 million in for FY26 and they could do full funding for FY27. And I've been doing a postcard process and I think I'm up to 90 postcards mailed to the governor. We're trying to get them in before she writes her budget so that she has a chance to be a leader. Because if she doesn't lead on this, it would be very likely that the legislature is not going to jump out in front and say, yeah, 60 million, that's reasonable. It's in the report. We're going to do it. So we are still early in it, but the effort the school made is really helpful. One of the things that's going to be different though is you don't handle the health insurance. So if that was in your budget, that would have made your budget screwy, and it's making the regional budget screwy, and it's making the town budget screwy. Um, and and this is the early wrestling season at the FinCom.
Nate.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Susie said. I met with Susie and George Avenattis, and we met with Aaron Saunders, a rep from Aaron Saunders, at the town hall on Monday, and we were all like really pushed for um, doing what they can now, um, restoring rural aid. And I encourage everybody to tell anybody to write their rep and push for these. They can do Chapter 70, but that's going to take a long time to rejigger. So they need to do things now. So, yeah, thanks, Susie.
Yeah, thank you, Susie, for all your hard work on that.
Yeah, and one of the ways, so communicating is really hard. So I have the postcards, I'm sitting in the library, the new library, getting people that come in, getting a positive response. Ruralschoolsma.org is a straight ahead way of finding out the issue and sending the governor your email right from there. So that's an easier word to spread, telling people to go to ruralschoolsma.org. I think I got that in the town newsletter. I'll make sure it's in again. It should be a banner somewhere because everybody that drives by could be part of supporting the 38,000 rural students that need that aid. So that's a simpler step.
So
I
again,
had
I
a
guess
question.
yeah.
Sorry, I can't raise my hand
That's
on
fine.
my app, but I was just wondering when we're holding the public hearing for the budget.
Generally we hold it on the Wednesday before town meeting. We will be having another fiscal summit with all departments sometime in February, so we keep them up to date. And then the finance committee is sending out monthly news updates on the town announce so that people can feel that it's being fed out to them kind of a step at a time. And we're just about to send out the one for January.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Caitlin?
So we have two public hearings. Well, we have the one for the school committee, which would be if you voted for the preliminary adoption this month, and then in February will be the public hearing for the school committee, and then we have the meeting. Well, we did have the meeting with the finance committee. So I think to answer your question, it would be at the February school committee meeting, and Robin will put out in the, I don't know if she uses the Gazette or the Recorder for that, but she'll put out the budget, and we'll have the public hearing next month.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
So still on the table is what should we do with this? So if we were to take a possible vote on the adoption of the preliminary budget, what are we saying? We're just saying like this looks good for now, and then if changes happen, we have to vote on them again. What's the?
You'll do the preliminary adoption vote and then the final adoption vote. So you can vote on the preliminary adoption vote, and if changes are made, then that doesn't really matter, and then you'll do the final adoption.
Okay.
But it gives us kind of a place to start.
So I feel comfortable with that. Does anybody want to make a move?
I
Second.
move to preliminarily adopt the budget
I second.
presented.
Okay. All in favor? Mayu, aye.
Longo, aye.
Catalano, aye.
Jack, I.
Heard aye.
Okay. And that is unanimous. All right. Anything else, Caitlin?
Nope, that was it.
All right. Thank you very much. And thank you for all your work on that all the time, all year long.
Thank you.
Makes it go. So we're moving on to Anne's report.
Sure. We are off to a great start this year. The students are continuing to make steady progress in literacy and mathematics, as evidenced by a growing matrix, which I'm sure I will reference many more times. But we're having a great time. But I learned a lot on the walkthroughs. We're having a good time of getting into classrooms. We continue to strengthen our targeted intervention work and emphasize an inclusive, safe, and respectful school environment. We're celebrating all the student attempts in improving our attendance records across the school. We have the golden ball that we received from DESE for improvement with attendance, because it is such an important measure of how our students will be successful. And now the ball travels every month based off of data that supports what classroom had the highest amount of attendance. So the kids have been enjoying finding out at the assembly who's going to be the holder of the golden ball, and it's actually motivated some kids to maybe make that choice that they're not quite so sick that they can't go to school. So excited about that. We're excited for tomorrow. A big thank you to Layla, our kindergarten teacher, for working with the PTO to set up chain reactions and creative contraptions. We're going to do a building workshop tomorrow for all students with Jay Mantica. So they worked hard to get a grant to be able to cover that. The enrichment clubs are being developed now and will be starting very soon within the next couple weeks. And so far, we're going to be offering chess club, crochet club, pickleball, and kickboxing club. And the enrichment activities, if you're new to Shutesbury, are led by staff members here after school for students. And they're able to do sort of passion projects with the staff in the areas that they love. So that's what I have for January. Does anybody have any questions or comments or anything?
Anna?
So that's really great. Thank you for that report. I would caution a little bit against encouraging kids to come to school a little sick. As we saw in the middle school, when the 30% of staff and students were all out sick because of a raging, I think it was norovirus, but
yes, we're not encouraging that.
Yeah.
No, it's more of the well, I had a long weekend and I'm in a play and I don't really feel that great because I'm really overtired. It's that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're definitely not taking kids with fevers of 104. No, yeah, we're not monsters over here, but we definitely are working hard to get students here.
Yeah, and definitely the taking a vacation early and things like that is definitely the targets. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we had a case of whooping cough at our school.
Nobody wants
All right.
pertussis. Nope.
No. Susie.
I wondered if there are any metrics on the number of kids out from illness.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We have an attendance committee that's myself and the school nurse, and it's Jessica Carlson Belanger, our school counselor, who meet on sometimes it depends on the time of the year, but we meet on a regular basis to go over exactly what the percentages look like and the absence reasons why students are absent, and then work hard with our school psychologist too. We loop her in to really do a wraparound approach to see if there's anything that we're missing, because sometimes it can be school anxiety. It could be a lot of factors that go into whether or not a student is coming to school. So we really want to make sure that we are doing our best to support families and the situations that they're in.
Well, as a grandma, I just want to know, is there a lot of flu, a lot of colds right now?
No, honestly, Susie, since we started with the really intentional hand washing and the
Right.
like germ busting before kids eat and keeping food in one location instead of
Yeah.
having a lot of food going around in the hallways, we have noticed a huge decline in how many absence and how many stomach issue type things we've had. You
Excellent.
still get a little couple of things here and there, but it is not the it knock on wood everywhere. I don't know. It's been really, really helpful. So, and keeping kids healthy for sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. We move on to the Amherst Pelham representatives report. Anna.
So I wasn't here the last meeting, so I was wondering, Jeremy, did you pass on that note that
I did
I?
pass.
Okay, so
Yep,
I
I
don't need to
passed on
repeat
the.
myself on that.
Nope.
So we, as I mentioned, we are also in budget discussions. We just had a four-town meeting, where all of the other towns basically are, um, highlighting exactly how poor they are this year and how they can't possibly do increases over 2.5 or 3.5%. I'm not sure where that's all going to shake out. I think that if the data that I have is that if where was that? If the if if the budget increases enough that Amherst's increase is 3.5%, that will put Leverett at a little over that, and it will put Pelham over 5. And I'm not sure how much bluster and complaining about cut services and fired teachers and everything else. I'm not sure how much we can get the towns to increase over that. It just seems everything is so fiscally tight that asking Pelham to pay 7% and Leverett to pay 5%, I'm not sure we're going to be able to get there. So I think we need to expect at close to a $2.6 million reduction in budget from level services. That is the equivalent of probably over 20 teachers. And I don't know how that's going to happen. So that's pretty devastating. I think if there's anything that other people can do to increase the appetite of other towns to increase the budget a bit, the counter are the poor. The good news for Shutesbury is that even with a much bigger budget, Shutesbury's increase is still going to be relatively small. And with like 11% of a Leverett increase and like a 12% Pelham, like the problem is that for Shutesbury to get itself into a territory where the increase seems undoable, the other towns are already drowning. And so it's unlikely that we're going to get to a budget where Shutesbury feels uncomfortable. But what it means is that the region is just going to be devastated next year. And so I don't really know how to report that better, but that's kind of the situation. We are still dealing with some ongoing legal cases that are costing the region in legal fees. The president of the principal of the high school just announced that he will not be returning next year, so we will be looking for a new high school principal. The director of student services left the district, and so we are needing a new director of student services. So there's a lot of changes going on. I'm not. I don't think that there's any other big news. I think that's about it. I think the budget is really the biggest issue. Susie?
I haven't focused on it yet, but it looked like you sent a email about
Oh, the roof.
the roof, and I didn't understand what part was already approved and what part this represents.
So the middle school roof project is mostly being covered under the MSBA grant, which is a matching grant. I think we're responsible for 25% and the MSBA covers 75% of eligible costs. But the MSBA puts a limit on the age of the roof, and so only roofs that are older than a certain age qualify for the grant. And apparently, the portion of the roof that covers the auditorium is slightly younger than the rest of the roof. And so they can't get the costs of the portion of the roof over the auditorium covered under the MSBA grant. So they didn't put that portion of the roof into the grant because they couldn't. And so the current plan was to just do the portion with the MSBA grant money. But then I guess Amherst found themselves with $10 million in free cash and a need to spend it. And so they recommended that we should fix the roof anyway. There's mixed reaction on the school committee, with even some Amherst members saying we'd love $1.6 million, but we'd rather spend it on a different capital project that would result in greater lower ongoing operational costs. So the idea from a couple committee members is that we should invest in capital projects that will reduce year-to-year operating costs like energy bills. I think that repairing the roof is kind of necessary, and that not repairing the roof will result in additional repair costs year after year. But whether a new solar system would reduce our costs more than repairing the roof, I think that's, a whole different calculus. But the idea is that Amherst doesn't want to be the only contributor to replacing that portion of the roof. And so they really requested the regional school committee to ask the 4 towns to contribute some money too. And so the portion, if they were to allocate that 1.6 million according to the regional agreement, the Shutesbury proportion would be about $111,200. There is almost zero appetite or negative appetite from Leverett. They don't even want to pass it on to their finance committee for consideration. And Pelham seems extremely unlikely to agree to do this. I think that my understanding when the topic first came up was that Amherst wanted us to ask the 4 towns, but they didn't seem at that point averse to providing the money without other 4 towns' contribution. They just wanted us to ask. I don't know how they're feeling right now. It's possible that if all three other towns say no, Amherst will just say, okay, forget it, and we'll just fix sidewalks instead. Um, I think it's unlikely at this point for the regional school committee to be able to put together a $1.6 million project for something else that the council will be like, yeah, let's do that instead. Um, so I don't know what my recommendation would be at this point. I think FinCom needs to look at it. You know, if we have extra money in free cash and we want to provide $110,000 to fix the middle school roof, we can do that. But my my gut says that's not going to happen.
I think so.
Yeah.
I-
But you might talk to the FinComs at Leverett and Pelham and just sort of see if there's like a coalescence that wants to happen. Or you can reach out to Amherst and see how committed they are to getting at least one town to help them. And also, it's possible that, you'd say, well, we can't contribute $111,000, but we could contribute X. And, that would be some good faith towards this, but we're just, like everybody else, we're strapped and we don't have the cash reserves that you have. That might be fair as well. But there was a memo that Shannon, the finance director over there, sent out, and it seemed like she CC'd the towns. So I don't know if Haley got it or if
Right,
AJ said he didn't get it.
right.
So I don't know who, or if it was just Melissa Makepeace or what's her name, Gail? No, Gail Fleischek?
No,
No.
Gail Weiss is the accountant, but it would have been either Haley or the select board if
Yeah.
it wasn't AJ, and I don't think it was AJ.
So maybe someone on the select board got the memo. But we recommended that the Amherst Town Council reach out to the other towns directly. So it's possible that Amherst Town Council will send out a memo separately. But that was just sort of like information out there that was floating around. And I think the other two towns are like, we're not even gonna send that information to our people.
Censored. Well, the two things I want to say. One is that the capital planning board is working harder to broaden what they look at, and I think there's going to be work on a capital plan for our elementary school, just like the region has capital plans for their two buildings. And the other piece in terms of perspective is it's not really just about the coming year. The average single family home in Pelham went up $913 last year. In Shutesbury, our town, it looks like the average single family bill went up $506. People are freaking out because that's a really, really big jump. Shutesbury is still kind of in the middle of the state's average single family. Everybody jumped up. But $900 increase in your tax bill for the average home is what is people are reacting to. So I'm also reacting to that the regional school budget has been cut every year. We don't ask other departments to come in with a 5% cut. That's a big thing. And so a cut from level services. They would still get a 4% increase, but that includes the salaries and they have to handle their health insurance in their regional school budget. So it's all these things at the same time. And it's not just people saying, I can't do that. They say, I've been doing this. And now how do I do that? And that's the same thing with the roof. We supported the other part with the MSBA, and now there's a move to do another part of the roof. And I understand roofs need to be repaired. Shutesbury knows that lesson very, very well. But we're still in the early stages for what we can wrestle with, but I doubt that we can come up with 111,000 for that roof part. It doesn't seem likely to me, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah. I know this is just griping, but it seems crazy to me that the MSBA, like if you're going in to replace 3/4, and the same thing with Shutesbury, if you're going to go in and replace 3/4 of a roof, there's joints, there's all sorts of things that go along with that. It just makes complete sense to do it all. And so, like, you'd think there'd be some sort of wiggle room, or like, hey, if we're going to replace 75% of your roof, even if the other 25% is slightly newer, it makes
Slightly.
sense for us to just do this all at once.
Right.
It's going to be cheaper. You're not going to have to get somebody else out there to like bid the smaller piece of the roof later on. It makes no
Right.
sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why MSBA functions like that. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
And in addition to the
Can I
fact
ask?
that MSBA has been moving the age of the roof back a year every year, so that every year our roof is 1 year shy of being able to be qualified under the MSBA grant. And it's just finally this year where they apparently didn't move it back one more year and accepted this this age as being old enough. And so, if we had been this age when the MSBA grants started, like the
Yeah.
maybe the auditorium even would have qualified then. It's kind of crazy. And that to be able to not fix it now you're having, you're still having leaks, you're still having all of these other problems in that area, and that's just not it's not great. So I'm kind of
Okay, I
hoping that
guess
Amherst does
just fix it.
give us money for the roof and specifies that it's for the roof, and then we just have to take it.
Yeah,
But
it seems to me like MSBA could also be looking at the function, right? Like more than the age, like, hey, is your roof leaking and ceiling tiles are falling down? Oh, we should replace that roof. There's mold issues. Like the idea that it's just like based on an age, whatever. I know there's nothing we can do about that, but it
nothing we
is a
can do,
frustrating
but
situation.
yes.
The 20 positions, are we talking that's just high school and middle school?
What I'm saying, yes, but what I'm
Okay.
saying is that's not accurate. Like
Yep.
it depends on it's an estimate.
Yep.
But that's the equivalent of the amount of the budget decrease would be the equivalent of about that much of 20 FTEs.
Yep.
And the number is like really loose, because
Yep.
that's like the average FTE, and so it really depends on which FTEs are cut. It could be more, it could be less. Um,
They
and
could find money somewhere else to cut.
yeah, and I mean the benefits are rolled up in that as well. So if if health insurance goes up, then that's fewer FTEs, and it's just that's a rough estimate, but it's going to be in that ballpark. I don't
I've-
even understand how you can do that without cutting an entire program somewhere.
yeah.
And it's
Oh,
just the middle school and high school.
all right. Thank
Some of
you.
the things that have not been accounted for in the budget yet is any cost sharing that occurs between the region and the sixth graders that are going to be using a portion of the middle school. They are talking about sharing a few teachers that do not currently get shared. Be, being able to use teachers in the middle school to serve some of the kids in the sixth grade. So I think that any cost sharing that occurs is still going to be relatively small as a percentage of the total budget, but there might be some additional reductions in costs that make it not quite as bad, but I think it's going to be on the margins.
Okay. Thank you, Anna. Any other questions for Anna before we move on to the joint supervisory report? Okay. Joint supervisory committee report. Nate or Katrina?
Yeah, Shannon touched on that. The big thing was that we voted for the budget for the regional or for the union budget. We had superintendent's report. One thing that we did do was Shannon brought to the committee's attention the substitute pay for substitute teachers and paras. And she said that someone had pointed out that it was below minimum wage. So we voted on that. We increased the pay by $5 a day. So it's $125 now for teachers and $105 for Paris, and that starts February 1st. That little pay increase. It didn't seem like it was a big increase to the budget. There's not a lot of subs anyway, so that was interesting and cool. Yeah, we had Lindsay Rodriguez and Amy Langdon's report. Yeah, it was a good meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have anything to add, Katrina? Did you?
Just like a tiny thing to add, not like super important, just that I feel like we got some context on the Hampshire Trust updates that were available, which affect Union 28 employees, obviously, and just some information gathering that happened where we're not like when we look at other potential groups, what we're expecting in increases is somewhat comparable. So I feel like there's been some conversations about dealing with that situation and understanding what our options are, and that was some good context we got.
Yeah, everyone is going through the same thing. We had we were 40% last year and 40% again this year. Like it's a nutty thing. So okay, thank you. CES, did we have a CES meeting, Leah?
Yes. So we had an off-cycle meeting. The 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 collaborative is looking to install a new executive director. And so we had 3 finalist interviews last night. We did not leave until after 11, but I can report that we made an offer to one of the finalists. And so now the chair and the vice chair are going to be negotiating a contract with the finalist. It's Dr. Bonner from Northampton. So we'll see how those negotiations go. And there's another meeting on January 28th. Anna, I know I reached out to you about coverage, but they actually don't have subs. So you are off the hook, and we don't really need to vote for that in the future because they don't accept alternates. So yeah, I'll just catch up with notes and check in with people so I can update everyone at our February board meeting.
All right.
I was shocked when I was on that board that there are districts that don't ever send anybody there. Like we used to have to struggle for quorum. Like we'd have to everybody'd have to reach out to people that they knew to try to make sure we could get enough people there to vote on the budget and all of the other things. So maybe they should take some alternates. Okay, so thank you very much, Leah. Moving on to the policy review part of the night, we've got first read for deletion, which is the IHAX early childhood education, IE organization of instruction, and IHAX early childhood education. Does anybody have any feedback or comments on those? Okay. Moving on, we're going to skip the first read on the next 4 because we, as a committee, we want to take them back to the policy committee. They weren't supposed to be here tonight. They were supposed to be with us, so we're going to take them back to the policy committee. Second read, first vote on IB, academic freedom, ICICA, school year, school calendar, ID, school day. So we're going to need move and second and then discussion.
I
Was that a
move
move?
to approve policy IB, IC, ICA, and ICD.
To just ID. And a second.
ID, sorry, ID.
I second.
Thank you. So is there any discussion on these? We've already been through these. Okay. All in favor? My UI.
Catalano, I.
Long coat by.
Third eye.
Right on. Unanimous around. And then we've got our final vote on KA. No, I'm doing pronunciations of them. KA, ECAB. Okay, sorry. KA, School Committee, Community Relations Goals. ECAB, Access to Building and Grounds. JJE, Student Fundraising Activities. And KBE, Relations with Parent Booster Organizations. Oh, Trevor, yes?
So in the December meeting, there was also, or maybe I'm seeing KI visitors to the schools appeared in two places, in the second read first vote, but also in the final vote. So it's not here. So I'm wondering if that's a correction I need to make to the December minutes, that KI visitors to the schools was not in the second read slot, but in the final vote slot.
My notes say final vote, Trevor, for
Okay, so
whatever
I'll make
that's
that
worth.
correct. I'll make that correction to the December minutes. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so oh,
Can I just for KBE, why is the asterisk red?
No idea.
No, if there's no
I don't.
reason.
I have it printed out in grayscale, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But I
I
think,
just
yeah,
want
I
to make
think
sure.
yeah. I don't think it's significant.
Okay.
It just means that there's an enclosure. That's all we use that for. So we can move.
I move to approve policies KA, ECAB, ECAB, JJE, and KBE.
I'm sorry, I started that. It's not your fault.
I second.
Wait a second. Thank you. All in favor, my UI.
Catalano,
Long coat by.
Third eye.
Jack guy.
Thank you all. Yeah, it should be easy to just read out three-letter strands, but for some reason at this point it is no longer. Okay, so future business. We've got the Shutesbury Policy Committee meeting February 12th at 6:30. We've got the school committee next on February 12th at 7 o'clock. Union 28 Joint Supervisory. Our next one is March 16th, 2026. Are there any future agenda items that people would like to add to our next month's agenda?
We do have a CES meeting on January 28th.
Okay, CES meeting on January 28th. Thank you.
Yes.
Add that in. Okay, so hearing no future agenda items, let's have a move to adjourn, I guess.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor? My UI?
Catalano.
Long
Third
coat
eye.
by.
All right.
Jack guy.
Night
Thank you
all.
all, and
Bye.
Thank you.
we'll see y'all in February.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, all.
Bye.